And Brian.
And we are
Those annoying vegans. How are you guys this week?
Hey.
So we're back.
We're back. It's Wednesday, but we're back.
We got some new rantings, and we're on nobody's schedule but our own.
Yeah,
it's okay.
We got kittens.
We have a pretty good excuse because we have 2 baby kittens.
We are fostering teeny little kittens, 4
and
weeks
when I
old.
say kittens, I mean kittens.
Like they're still bottle feeding. I mean, one
Yeah.
of them is still bottle feeding. The other one's just starting to lap.
They are quite small.
They are adorable, and they do take up quite a bit of time because they now they're waking up every 2 to 3 hours. So luckily we can sleep through the night at this point and just,
Wasn't that way when we first got them?
No. I woke up in the middle of the night to feed them. When you see them suckle on the bottle, it's just the best feeling in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we named them. We named them last night.
We named them.
Aria.
The older, more rambunctious,
adventurous, fearless,
excitable one is named Aria. She's this solid black cat with green eyes.
She has a little white on her belly, scattered white.
And she has no fear of anything at all. And then the smaller tortoise?
Tortie.
Does that come from tortoise shell?
Yeah,
is
it
that
does.
What they're from? Okay.
It does. We named her Emmy.
Emmy. So you have little baby Emmy.
Sort of like inspired by GOT, guys.
That's right. And it works on 3 levels.
Emmy works on 3 levels.
3 levels. Very proud of that name. Because you obviously have the show Game of Thrones nominated for many Emmys. Mm-hmm. Then you have the character that I was reminded of by her, which is Khaleesi's advisor, her maiden, her the female, the girl with the curly hair, and I forget her character name. Missandria, is that
no,
it?
No. Oh yeah.
Missandrea. I don't know.
I forget how to pronounce it.
It's like Miss something. Mm-hmm. But she's played by an actor named Natalie Emmanuel. Mm-hmm. So there's Emmy again.
Emmanuel.
And you were inspired. You thought she reminded you of Daenerys Targaryen, who is played by
Emilia Clarke.
So Emmy. So we got Emmy times 3 on that little kitten.
Yeah.
And she looks like an Emmy.
She's a cute little baby Emmy. Sort of inspires that energy of she's meek, but she's powerful.
Yes. We're talking about kittens on a vegan podcast, guys. Go figure. So let's get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Stuff we want to just rant and rave about.
What is up this week? Lots is up.
Mm-hmm.
Brian found some new material online that he's been really passionate about.
That's right.
Dismembering.
Yeah.
In the most vegan of ways, of course.
Nothing gets me going like a logic and scientific based argument. Mm-hmm. The reason I don't like most news channels and why I prefer podcasts is because podcasts are long form. They allow the discussion to go places. And usually on the news, it's like you'll have one guy on the far left and one guy on the far right, and they each have their little 30-second sound bites that they deliver at one another. And then they go, all right, guys, we have to leave it there. Coming up next.
Yeah, and it's like,
will your dinner kill you? They just move on. Yeah. They just move on.
Questions are left unanswered.
They don't actually address any of the arguments or counterpoints that anybody brings up. And funnily enough, Louder with Crowder, Steven Crowder's podcast, somehow managed to have a 30+ minute long discussion where things were brought up about veganism and then never related to veganism or meat eating.
Right.
They just sort of brought up things and then just went, anyway, moving on. Because he had this woman on. This is a little old. I'm a little behind. I'm just now discovering this woman, Lierre Keith.
But it's not an old topic.
No.
Because the things she says are the things many people also say about veganism.
Right.
So, point 1.
So Lierre Keith wrote this book called The Vegetarian Myth, where she talks about how she went vegan for 20 years and it almost killed her. And she was interviewed on a radio station at one point where she said something along the lines of, in a survey, most people who claim to be vegan, it's actually revealed that in surveys they cheat.
Yeah.
So they occasionally eat meat. And she said that she would regularly cheat by eating dairy and eggs.
Right. So my argument to that is, well, then you're not vegan.
So,
I mean, if you cheat.
What are you talking about?
If you eat dairy and eggs, you're just not vegan.
No.
Not even if you eat dairy and eggs once a week, you're just not vegan.
No.
So she wrote this entire book and and she came up with this entire argument on a false premise.
Yes. And also, it's called the vegetarian myth because if you still eat dairy and eggs, but you don't eat meat,
mm-hmm.
that's what you are. You're a vegetarian.
Yeah.
So why the whole claiming to be vegan?
I don't even know how they came up with that. That's a language thing, but vegetarian should still only. I don't know.
Yeah. Her basic. I've often thought that too. Like you bring that up,
pescatarian.
Right. To me, the term vegetarian should actually be the definition of the word vegan. We shouldn't have to have a word called vegan. We should have to have. If you're a vegetarian, you eat vegetation.
It's almost like that. It's almost like we're categorizing the level of suffering, maybe but it's still misinformed because dairy is actually worse.
Super worse.
And egg production is worse. So it's strange that those are categorized.
It's funny too because both of those industries, the dairy and egg industries, right? Those are both industries revolving around motherhood.
Yeah.
And abusing mothers and their female offspring. And then usually the male offspring are just they just get, like I told you, that was one of the things that stuck with me and still does. Like I had no idea that male baby chicks are just literally discarded like they're trash.
They're discarded. They're ground up.
They're either ground up alive. Like you would put trash in a trash compactor. They're ground up alive, or they just box them up or bag them up and they throw them out with the trash.
Yeah.
So you have cases of huge hefty bags full of live baby chicks.
They suffocate them, yeah.
They just toss them onto the trash heap.
Yeah. And
then with the dairy industry, here's the thing, kids, is that cows don't just walk around with milk.
Yeah.
That's...
People, even I used to think, I think when I was growing up, I just thought cows would just get milked and because they produce milk. And I just never really connected until I got older and I understood that, all mammals produce milk when they are pregnant. So guess what, guys? A cow needs to be pregnant in order to produce milk.
Mm-hmm.
So how do they make that happen? Well, the cow gives birth. They forcefully take the calf away, and they impregnate her again right away. So she is constantly pregnant throughout her lifespan of, by the way, cows can live 25 to 30 years if we don't fuck with them. If we don't fuck with them. But they live maybe 3 to 5 years on a factory farm. They keep her pregnant. She's pregnant most of her life. She gives birth to a calf. If the calf is male, he goes straight to veal. If the calf is female, she goes into milk production. So eating dairy and cheese is actually way more harmful than eating meat. I'm not saying pick and choose. Everything is harmful. Just stay away from anything that harms other living beings. The whole cheese thing, unfortunately, cheese, scientifically speaking, there was a scientific study that came out and it was highlighted in the LA Times.
Mm-hmm.
Cheese is scientifically proven to be addictive because of the protein casein. And casein is, when digested, it kind of fucks with our dopamine levels. So, but guess what? Milk's supposed to be addictive, not to us, to babies, because it keeps them coming back for more. So if you feel like you're addicted to cheese, you probably are. And purely on
for scientific, biological reasons.
Yeah. So, But I mean, going back to, sorry to interject,
Yeah.
and
Well,
just because I had mentioned it in the last podcast, I will use this opportunity
Yeah, go ahead.
to say a late Happy Mother's Day
Oh,
to not just human mothers, but
all mothers.
all mothers. Because all mothers feel the same love and attachment and need to protect and nurture their child as a human mother. And I guess I have to bring this up now. Sorry
Yes.
to cut your Laura.
No.
Or
Lierre, Keith.
Lierre, weird name. Jeez.
Lierre. I
Lierre.
don't know if that's short for something. It's Lierre, if you want to find her online.
Yeah, I'll look it up. But yeah. So I found a bunch of. I found this organization called Mothers Against the Dairy Industry, which is actually mothers who, after giving birth, I guess, I don't know, something changed in them. They discovered information. It's a series of blogs that were published, about 10 of them, by different females, and they explain why they no longer support the dairy industry. They actually understand that motherhood and the love for your child is not limited to species.
Right.
You know? Which, thank you. Props to them. But like I said to a friend earlier today, I was like, you don't need to birth a child to understand that.
No. I mean, you and I are both actors, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we are tasked with getting inside the head of a person that we are not and will never be.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same thing that I always complain about with when they go off the rails in terms of casting in movies. And they go, well, Eddie Redmayne is not transgendered, so he shouldn't be allowed to play you should find a transgendered actor to play this role because the role is a transgendered person. And I always say,
oh my God, I hate that argument.
I'm not a Danish prince, so I can't play Hamlet.
Right.
Or I'm not a fairy, so I can't be Puck in Midsummer Night's Dream.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how far do we want to take this? Like,
right. The point of acting is to
acting is sympathy and getting inside the motivations and the ideas and the trials and tribulations of a character that is not you for the purpose of creating an emotional experience for the audience. And that is the same thing as just putting yourself in the shoes of another creature, be that creature human or cow or pig or chicken or dog or cat or
maybe that's why LA is so vegan. Have you thought about it? Because now it's just occurred to me, okay, so everybody here is in the motion picture industry. I mean, mostly young people, young actors, and we're seeing veganism sort of spring up in the 20s, 30s, early 30s.
Yeah. Younger people are more idealistic. They have more hope.
Yeah. Well, I also wonder if it has to do also with the way we're being trained to put ourselves in other people's shoes.
Yes.
Or
care for others.
Other beings in this
sense.
Yeah.
Be socialist in a way.
Yeah. Such a scary term for so
it's
many
a very
people,
bad term,
but,
I know. Helping your fellow man or animal.
I know.
Is
a very
touchy subject.
Why am I marrying you? I don't know.
What? We never say the same things at the same times.
Never.
That literally never happens. Okay, so the reason I got onto this, because I actually like some of what Steven Crowder has to say. He is a very divisive character. He speaks his mind and he speaks it freely, and he says things that are meant to be anti this or anti that.
Pointy.
Very pointy, very, sharp. What was the word that my friend Chris Elliott gave me? It was like Polaris or Polemus or something.
Polemus.
Meaning, maybe it was polar. Ruining it. Anyway, it means like to cause poles. It means polarizing,
right.
But it was a different word that meant the same thing.
Okay.
It still had a POL prefix on it.
Polarizing? I don't know.
But that's his thing, and that's where his success comes from, in the same way that Alex Jones or Adam Carolla or even people on the far left like to be divisive. It's you're causing divisive. Sorry. I usually say divisive, and I know that's the second time You've made fun of me for saying it that way. But yeah, Stefan Molyneux and a lot of these guys, that's Bill Maher, I guess, would be the liberal version of that, like divisive characters with certain points of view, and usually it's political and often social. And what he said in this thing with Lierre Keith, first thing that struck a chord with me was that he's like, it's no secret to my listeners that I have a strong disdain, or maybe he just said disdain. He's like, I have a disdain for veganism.
Yeah. Oh, God.
And that's a confusing thing to hear. Now, I recognize that you can be disapproving of vegans, certain vegans, that maybe shame you or point the finger or make these wild accusatory claims and sort of shove their way into your life. Like, no one likes
or insult
that,
because
or
like
throw out insults.
I said to a friend, like, there are vegan people who are not very good representatives of our cause, because they are also they are insulting other people, which we must have as and I will say, as stupid as some people are, you have to find it in your heart to be compassionate and understanding. And that has been my personal challenge, because I've always grown up with this sort of, I've just developed this sort of like frustration with human beings, because I feel like, why do I feel so strongly about this? And I know it's right, and I know it's right, and I know everybody knows it's right. But
and that's the thing. You know that people have good in them.
Yeah, you know that people have good in them, yet they cheat themselves out of that good. So
be Professor Xavier, don't be Magneto, is the point of our podcast.
And possibly our podcast title.
Yes. Yeah, we can call it that.
So what's his...
So the Vegan Society, their formal definition of the word veganism, this is what he has disdain for veganism. Veganism, according to the Vegan Society, veganism is a way of living which seeks to exclude, as far as is possible and practicable. Practicable, not practicable?
No, they would have an E after the...
Okay.
C.
Veganism is a way of living which seeks to exclude, as far as is possible and practicable, all forms of exploitation of and cruelty to animals for food, clothing, or any other purpose. How can you have disdain for... Are we looking at now?
Yeah, because now I'm really curious about the word. I don't know if I'm mistaken here. Practicable exists, so maybe they misspelled it, or they... No. Oh.
Practicable. No, it's with a K.
Able
You're right.
to be done or put into practice successfully.
Right.
Okay.
So given that definition of veganism, excluding as far as possible and practicable all forms of exploitation of and cruelty towards animals for food, clothing, or any other purpose. I don't know how you can have disdain for that.
Right.
All that the veganism ideology is saying is that when possible and practicable, don't murder other things.
Right.
Or torture other things, or skin other things.
Or cause them pain
or
and
steal
terror,
their baby's milk.
fear.
Or,
hurt them.
When possible and practicable, don't do that. Like, I don't know how you can have an objection to that. And
it's such a noble cause.
Right.
It's such a... Don't kill, don't hurt, don't cause pain. Oh, that sounds like an abominable idea. That sounds like a terrible idea.
Right. And I likened it to people that say that, they have a disdain for feminism. It's like, well, the textbook definition of feminism is men and women should be treated equally. So I don't know how you can be against that. Now, you can be against feminists, certain feminists.
Right.
Maybe they are insulting. Maybe they go too far. Maybe they say they exploit facts, or they tweak things, and they expand the definitions of words and sort of try to mold things into an agenda. But the fact remains that the act of veganism, I just don't know how you can have disdain for that.
Right.
for the overarching ideology.
Yeah.
And so he and Lierre Keith were here, and I wanted to play you guys a couple. I put aside 4 quotes that Lierre Keith offers. Whoops. Sorry. There we go. All right. So she's going to say a little thing, and then Anna and I thought it would be fun to respond. Debunk, break down what the problem is here. So here she is, Lierre Keith on Steven Crowder's show.
Well, I really hate that, and this is kind of where we can find some common ground. I hate this idea that if you eat animals, you hate animals. I mean, we have a dog. He's actually sitting right here. We'll bring up the Hopper cam for people watching online who, we adopted a 90-pound, looks like the world's biggest, meanest pit bull who was balding. He had alopecia, broken leg, Lyme disease. Because we love it, we're animal lovers. But I don't see it as something that is unnatural or goes against nature or in any way displays hatred because of the way we are designed as human beings. And you talk about that a lot in your book.
Okay. So, the argument that he's making, and the argument that we hear a lot, right, is I'm not an animal hater. I don't hate animals because I eat animals. And my point is that you don't have to hate animals to contribute to their suffering.
Right. Just like you don't hate your sister or your mom or your brother or your father, yet you might have a fight with them and call them a moron or something. I don't know. I don't.
Right.
But, like you might be hurtful in an argument with someone, a friend, and you don't hate that person, but you're still hurting them.
You're hurting them. But and to his point, which is something that they didn't touch on, and that'll be a theme throughout this exchange, is that bringing up a topic as though it defends meat eating and then not actually relating it to meat eating and then moving on to the next topic, which is he's saying right there, he's like, I'm not an animal hater. I'm not an evil person. I love my dog. I adopted my dog. My dog had all these medical problems. I helped my dog. He lives a great life. I don't hate animals. I would never do this to an animal. And that's the vegan's point.
Right.
Is that human beings don't hate animals. If you handed someone a butcher knife and put them in a room with a pig and said, go ahead, kill the pig so we can eat some bacon. Mm-hmm. Most people wouldn't do that because we love animals. Yeah.
But somehow we're okay with paying other people to do that for us, which is the equivalent of, what do you call that? When you send someone to, the forensic files stuff where you pay someone to kill
a hitman?
Yeah. You're hiring a hitman to kill your pig for you. So you can have your bacon.
Right. It's a split.
It's a very strange thing to me because it's a disconnect.
Cognitive dissonance or something?
Yeah.
Disconnect? Yeah, you're disconnecting. We know in our brains that in order to eat bacon, a pig has to die. We know that. Mm-hmm. And when most people go to the petting zoo or you go visit your farm, or if you go to the farmer's market and they have the baby goats there, or you go to a dairy farm and you have the cows, we see them and we go, I want to pet the cow. Look at the cow. Wow. Yeah. It's so big. Oh my goodness. What is this? Yeah. Little kids light up. They're like, oh, a piggy. I want to pet the pig. You rub the pig's stomach. Mm-hmm. The chickens. You go pick up the chickens. The fluffy little chickens and the baby chicks. All the while our brains know, oh yeah, these animals are going to be killed to eat them. We know that. So the disconnect happens in the societal approval, and largely it's just kind of like peer pressure, if anything else. It's this person eats meat, this person eats meat, my mom eats meat, my dad eats meat, my grandparents ate meat. I guess I'll eat meat, right? Yeah. It's not really a thing that a meat or dairy-free diet isn't really explored. Yeah. And you got all the pictures of the happy pigs on the side of the bacon truck. Or the pictures of chickens.
Happy cows. Happy cows. Yeah, happy cows goes at Chick-fil-A. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's this weird thing.
Peer pressure is a very big thing. And unfortunately, most most people are still treat meat eating like, like you would treat any topic in high school. I mean, even this past weekend, right? We went to play volleyball.
Oh, yes. We did. First volleyball game of the season.
Yeah.
And both of us got comedic sunburns.
So sunburned. And I am Costa Rican, and my skin is, I have Spaniard and Italian blood, so, obviously very light-skinned, and our sunscreen was expired.
Oh.
I think that's why, because we both got extremely sunburned for no, we wore sunscreen, but we just need to
I'm not Costa Rican at all. My DNA has been traced. My uncle had our DNA tested back to the Netherlands. Mm-hmm. So I should be like that guy in Frozen, like
also,
harvesting ice.
The sun is different here. The sun in California, it reddens you, whereas the sun in Costa Rica, it bronzes you. It's kind of a weird. Yeah. But
I'm excited to go.
But anyway, so we went we went to play volleyball. Before the game, we decided to stop by the Perry's Cafe on the boardwalk and grab a veggie burger.
Yeah.
And Perry's is always, it takes forever to get anything there. I mean, and the veggie burger took a good, 40 minutes?
It took way longer than it takes for me to cook a veggie burger here in the kitchen.
Yeah. They had and they only had maybe 5 other people.
It didn't
waiting.
That was the thing. It did not seem busy.
Yeah, it didn't seem busy. I don't think they had more than 5 people ahead of us. They were just,
maybe
they were understaffed.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, I don't know.
Like one cook and one receptionist or something? Or I guess receptionist.
So we got to the game and we were like, oh, sorry, our burger took forever to cook. And obviously everybody knows we're vegan. So this one guy says, oh, the vegans, what did he say? He said just like the vegans to show up late. Or I don't know. Something.
There was a new insult.
It was
It was just his way of introducing to the crowd
that we were vegan.
For anyone that doesn't know,
just in case
Anna and Brian have a vegan cooking show, and just in case anyone's not informed, these two are vegan.
He didn't say anything about the cooking show.
No, but I'm saying we literally have a cooking show called Those Annoying Vegans.
I know.
We have a podcast called Those Annoying Vegans.
But he didn't say that. He said, I'm saying what he said is, something to the extent of introducing us as here's Anna and Brian, they're vegans, And it's like, and I kind of pulled out that joke, because that joke where people are like, oh, how can you tell when someone's a vegan? They're ready to talk about it or something like that. And
it's like a vegan, an atheist, and a CrossFitter walk into a bar. How do you know? Because they'll tell you, or something like that. Yeah.
So I've reworded that, because now I've realized that the only reason people find out we're vegans, aside from social media and podcasting and whatnot, but in social situations, I don't really mention it. I don't really care to mention it, because I've vented enough to where I can actually hang out socially in a successful, nurturing, fun way. I can just be my fun self.
I'd say the majority
and not have to bring it up.
Right.
But so, when you show up at a game and someone introduces you as vegan, it's like, okay, well, let me reword that joke then. You know how you can tell if you're vegan? Because someone else is already bringing it up.
Right.
And
or you know how you can tell if you're a meat eater? You're shitting all over the vegans. That was another. Remember, you had some form of that joke.
It's such a misconception, and I mean, maybe it's not, because maybe some vegans are really intense and out there and in social situations, in public social situations, which I'm not, unless someone brings it up. I'm happy to talk about it in a constructive way, and often I will hold back, which is it's kind of a flaw. But I wish sometimes I could say, are you fucking kidding me? Did you just say that? Right. Like, inside, my blood is boiling. But then I just come here and podcast about it. And I'm fine. Everything's fine. And I keep my friendships and,
intact.
Intact relatively.
Because then we also
then my heart says, well, you can't really be friends with this person. You can't really be good friends with this person. You're never going to see eye to eye with this person. Right. I mean, it's
Because then we also did get if you had ordered a regular burger, it would have been done faster.
Oh, yeah.
And I had a woman just started it at where I work. Like, I would say the majority of my coworkers.
The chocolate woman.
Yeah. The majority of my
story.
coworkers probably do not know that I'm vegan. Like, there's 3 or 4 dudes that I work closely with every day, and they know only because like they like our recipes, and I've gone out to lunch with those guys and blah blah blah. But I would say the majority of people don't know, don't care to know. Like, it's not really something that comes up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But this new lady that started at the office came around and was handing out these Andes milk chocolate mint candies, which I used to love. Like, chocolate and mint together, awesome for me. Like, that is awesome combination of flavors.
Yeah.
The problem is that most chocolate has milk in it, and it's hard to find milkless chocolate.
Well,
you can still find
Trader
it.
Joe's sells
Trader
it.
Joe's has a ton of it. You can even get it at Ralph's. It's easier and cheaper if you go to Trader
Get this.
Joe's.
The only thing you have to do to find dairyless chocolate is read the ingredients.
Yeah, it's this crazy thing where
It's
you just
this
flip
really
over the label.
Innovative, crazy thing where you just, you take the chocolate in your hand and you turn it around, and the part that says ingredients,
Nutrition facts.
You just read that.
Yeah, you just read that part.
Okay.
So, yeah. So she's like, you want a candy? And I was like, oh, no, thank you. And then she was like, wow. That's my first no that I've gotten all morning, because she was handing out these candies.
Yeah.
And she's like, are you you don't eat chocolate or something? And I was like, no, I'm good. I'll pass. And she was like, oh, you're doing the flab off. Like, there's a thing at work where people like put money in a pool, and then they have to lose a certain amount of weight. And then whoever loses that amount of weight, they divvy up the money in the pool. You know what I mean? So it's this monetarily incentivized way of losing weight.
Yeah.
She's like, you doing the flab off? I'm like, no, I'm not doing the flab off. Like, she was like, why aren't you taking this chocolate? Without saying, like, why aren't you taking this chocolate?
Right.
So I was like, no, I'm not doing the flab off. I'm just vegan. And she was like, oh, that's good to know in case I want to bring in any vegan baking recipes, because I like to bake things and bring them in. And I was like, oh, thank you. And then she's like, yeah, I like to try vegan recipes sometimes, but usually I don't. And then she like walked away.
What?
And it was just sort of like,
why?
Okay.
Oh,
like, here's the thing.
like, why do you say?
Like, you just want to stop the person and go like, you could have just left that off.
Yeah, you could have just walked away.
Like, when you said,
smiled and
I'll try
said-
a vegan recipe, bring it in. And I went, oh, thank you. Then you could have walked away and just like chuckled that to yourself.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
What is this?
The tact
What
that
is this
some
insistence?
people, the tact. People are like, come on. There needs to be tact here. Like, I don't know.
And I wasn't uber offended. I know that most baking requires eggs and dairy. But here's the thing, is that vegetable oil is a replacement for eggs. And there's all sorts of dairy out there.
Well, there's more than vegetable oil
I mean-
that can replace eggs. There's also egg replacement, vegan egg replacement, and that Arrow Mills sells. I think it's Arrow Mills? Arrowhead?
Yeah.
No, Arrow Mills. And we just tried our very first vegan eggs this past
Vegan egg.
weekend.
It's literally vegan egg. It's made by Follow Your Heart.
It comes
They're
in a
based out here
little.
in
It comes
LA.
in a little carton, like
Yeah.
eggs, and you mix it with what? Water was it? What did we mix it with?
Yeah, I think it's water, and it's a powder that you mix with water, and then you sear it in a pan that has olive oil or any type of oil, but
And it
it's
smells
seared in
like
a
eggs.
pan.
It smells like eggs.
Looks like eggs.
Pepper, salt. Yeah, it takes a little longer to cook, like slightly longer, because it's got this sort of doughy consistency. But then,
But it fluffs up like scrambled eggs.
Yeah, it fluffs up, and then you put it on toast, and it's like eggs.
It's really good.
Yeah. So yay,
Yeah.
follow your heart. Shout out.
Anyway.
All right, let's
Sorry.
move on to the next clip.
All right, so the next clip from the Louder with Crowder interview with Lierre Keith.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Let's see here.
Oh, I also happen to have hypothyroidism, which is very rare for a young.
Me too. Yeah, it's unusual for a man. Yeah, I got
Exactly.
Hashimoto's.
Usually pre-diabetes. It's a sign of that. And my doctor said, well, yeah, you know what? If you're doing all the raw spinach and the kale, which we've all been told is the best thing for you, in as much as you can stuff in a blender, it's not. Tell us, just if only to save one thyroid gland out there, why the whole green smoothie, green juice thing might not be as good for you as you think.
Yeah, a lot of those vegetables are really hard on your thyroid.
Yeah.
They just are. They're goitrogens, and they're going to do damage. really hard on your thyroid to deal with all the compounds that are in those vegetables. A lot of vegetables are not particularly edible until you cook them, first of all.
Right.
You know, a lot of people want you to believe, a lot of the sort of vegan, raw vegan people, oh, if they cook it, it's bad. And it's like, it's not actually edible till you apply heat, because you have to destroy what are called anti-nutrients.
Right.
And anti-nutrients that's one of the ways that plants fight back. Plants don't really want to be eaten either. They can't run, and they don't have teeth and claws like animals.
Right.
So
Okay. So she goes on
There's
the plant.
like a couple of different points in there.
She goes on a plant-based tirade there, and then she also throws in the end, which we'll get to, that human beings cannot digest cellulose, and cellulose is contained within the cell walls of most green plants. But first and foremost, they have this entire conversation about how the vegan diet is bad for you, and it's not good for most people. And then he and she jumps in with the fact that they both have hypothyroidism.
Which is supposed to be rare, but they just both happen to have it.
Right.
So weird.
So that's a lack of iodine, I believe. It's an under production of your thyroid, right? Hyperthyroidism is an overproduction, I believe. I'll find it here.
Because I know with Sweetie's hyperthyroidism, the treatment was iodine treatments. You have to quarantine them. And,
right.
But was that giving more?
Hypothyroidism is an underactive thyroid gland.
Right.
Hyperthyroidism, obviously, is an overactive thyroid gland. But the point being is that the lion's share of human beings do not have hypothyroidism.
Right. How does that apply to
and I don't know how that applies to meat eating.
There are certain conditions where there are just not, it's not good to eat certain things. Like, I don't know, lactose intolerant. Shouldn't eat milk or dairy. If you have gastrointestinal or acid reflux, like acidic foods are not good for you.
Right. And well, I found on everydayhealth.com, there's this article entitled 7 Hypothyroidism Friendly Foods to Add to Your Diet. Now, keep in mind, I don't have hypothyroidism. You don't have hypothyroidism.
Right.
But I was trying to get an understanding of why meat eating would be good for hypothyroidism or why vegan eating would be bad, because obviously Lierre, Keith, and Stephen Crowder are trying to prove one of those 2 points. Mm-hmm. So I looked this up, and it's like, okay, so here's a list of 7 foods that are good for hypothyroidism according to everydayhealth.com. Fish is the first one because of its omega-3 fatty acids, which, as we know, those can be found in seeds, flax seeds, chia seeds, leafy greens, beans,
squash,
cabbage. Like, okay,
so many
we've
different
got
foods.
Omega-3s covered without the fish part, right? And then, so the next thing on the list is nuts.
All right.
Oh my God, they're vegan. Okay, next we have whole grains.
Yep.
Oh my God, they're vegan. All right, sweet. Moving forward, fresh fruits and vegetables. Oh my God, they're vegan. And then we've got seaweed. Oh, okay.
Seaweed's
so that's
vegan.
not meat or dairy. Now they add dairy to the list because of the significant amounts of calcium, protein, and iodine, which can all be found in non-dairy foods.
Right.
You can find calcium. You can find protein. That's the number one question. Where do you get your protein, bro? Where do you get your protein? You get protein in lots of things: legumes, beans, nuts, seeds. Again, very good for you.
All vegetables have
and
protein.
iodine.
That's like old news by now. I'm like, yeah, all vegetables have
protein.
So tired of saying it, all vegetables.
And then the last thing on this list from Everyday Health, foods that are good for people with hypothyroidism, is beans, of course. Mm-hmm. So there you have 7 foods, 5 of which are already vegan.
Right.
The other 2 of which there are vegan substitutes that give you the exact same nutritional content.
Right.
So I'm not really sure what the point of bringing up the hypothyroidism was.
Hypo?
Hypo.
They have hypo.
They have hypo.
Uh-huh.
The point is that they did not illustrate a point as to why their hypothyroidism
has anything to do with veganism.
with being a meat eater or being anti-vegan.
Right.
right? It's just something that they just toss out there. Like, is this like special condition? Like, a lot of people do that when they argue about anything.
Yeah.
They'll go, well, listen, I have blood, or for me, my child has blood. It's
or
like,
I have low blood pressure, or I have low iron levels, or I have...
right.
Yeah.
It's I'm a special snowflake, and thus this diet will not work for me. And it's like, okay. And let's go ahead and take you on your word as gospel truth. Maybe you are a special snowflake, and maybe veganism won't work for you. You are not 99.9% of humans. And you, singularly, are not the problem with the dairy and meat industries.
Right.
We
have proven, it is scientifically proven that vegans live up to 10 years longer than omnivores. There are, there are exceptions. Like Brian said, there are people who, for some reason, can't function on a vegan diet, but then they are an exception because they have an exceptional case, a disease.
Right.
A disease is something abnormal that we have to treat differently. I mean,
like you would any other condition.
Right.
I
mean, cancer is cancer in and of itself is your own cells like fighting, mutating, like wreaking havoc in your body. HIV, your own immune system is fighting you. Like those are illogical cases. Those are
They have nothing to do with when we're talking about the lion's share of an issue. As Gary Yourofsky said, is like, I'm tired of people talking about 2% of the problem.
Right.
98% of the problem is right here in front of us, and we can fix it.
Right. Those of us who have a choice.
Right.
And who, just let it go. And who choose to make that choice. Because there are people who are very well aware that they have a choice. And they still don't want to make it.
Don't want to make it. So they go on.
Okay.
And then here's the other 3 out of 4 here that wanted to share with you guys.
Here, hold on. They got it.
The scope of human history, 2.5 million years, and there's no question to archaeologists what we ate. There's no question.
Right.
The only people who come up with these just so stories are people who are very ideologically driven. Everybody else agrees, and the evidence is just overwhelming. You can see in the bones and the teeth of the skeletons, you can see that these people ate mostly meat. You see the tools that they left behind. You see the pictures they drew about it, and then their campsites are filled with these remains. And there's just no question what we ate. And you can also look at contemporary hunter-gatherers. There are still 46 tribes remaining of hunter-gatherers, and we know what they eat.
Right.
So there's no question at all. And then you just look at, how our teeth, our jaw, all the way down without one.
Okay.
I'm sure those hunter-gatherers, by the way, are hunting cow.
Yeah. Those vicious...
They're
those elusive cows in the African savannah.
Cows and lambs.
Yeah.
And sheep.
You know how those pigs...
They're sneaking up behind them in the dense brush of the...
Those wild pink pigs that live in the plains of Asia that we need to control their population. Now, here's the point. The point is that they're essentially making another argument that we've heard time and time again, which is people have always done it this way, thus we shall continue to do it this way.
Right.
Which is the worst fucking argument for any argument ever in the history of arguments.
Absolutely. It gives you free reign over anything you want to have free reign over.
There is no more of a bullshit argument than, well, this is how we've always done it, so let's just continue doing it because that's the way we've always done it.
It makes always been.
Zero fucking sense for anything, good or bad.
Yeah.
Because I could sit here and list to you, I could go, hey man, men have always had more rights than women. That's how we've always done it. That's how it should be. That's how we're going to do it. God, that's how it's always been. All right, look, white people are more important than black people. Black people are slaves. That's how it's always been. Or Jews are always slaves. That's how it's always been. Or any fucking evil thing that human beings have ever done. I'm sure there was some asshole arguing, well, this is how it's always been. Like, there's always that argument to be made. Now, I will flip it to something positive, right? You know that I play the guitar. Now you guys know that I play the guitar. I like playing music. I play the guitar. I play drums. I know a lot about gear. And I can tell you, in my opinion, the best guitars on the planet, the most sought-after guitars on planet Earth, were constructed between 1951 and 1965. Now, I could sit here and say, like, that's how the guitars were made. That's why they're awesome. But that's not why they were awesome. They were awesome because of the tone woods that they were using, the electronics that they installed, the hardware that they were using, the craftsmanship of the instrument, the neck profile, the glue that they, like, there's so many different aspects that go into the construction of this instrument that make it a good sounding instrument. Now, some asshole could come along and go, that's how they always have made the guitar. That's why it sounds better. But that's not why it sounds better. It has nothing to do with the fact that, well, that's just how they made it. And has everything to do with the content of the creation of the instrument.
Right.
So even though I love the way a 1956 Les Paul sounds, it has nothing to do with the fact, well, that's just how they made it back in 56. Like, I could sit here and argue the same thing on a positive side or on a negative side. But simply doing something because that's how they've always done it is a bullshit argument.
Yeah,
no matter the
it's
argument.
like it's like you're picking and choosing though what to bring with you, because there are many things our ancestors did that we don't do anymore. Like they don't wear clothes, or they wear very light clothing. We wear jeans. They hunt.
Yep.
I mean, I know there are still people on this earth that don't have a choice and they must hunt to survive. But we are not in that position. We have a grocery store on every block.
Right.
And they raise their families in close-knit communities. And what do you call that? What our friend likes.
Like a commune?
Yeah, like in commune. Yeah,
what do they call it? Like cohabitation?
No, it's like if you live with, the whole saying, it takes a tribe.
Takes a village.
It takes a village to raise a child. That's based on that premise.
Right.
They do so many things differently that we don't do, that we didn't bring with us. Why are we choosing? Why are we picking and choosing what we bring with us? That because they did it that way, so it's fine. It's fine. First of all, they didn't have farm factories back when our ancestors were the ancestors you're talking about. The ancestors who hunted down antelope and mammoth and bear.
Right.
They didn't process their food the way we're processing our food.
Right.
In fact, I've seen all the documentaries I've seen where, which I actually really love and appreciate, the Alaskan wilderness, or like the small tribes that are not very well known around the planet, and they must hunt. I don't know,
folks that live closer to the North Pole.
Yeah.
So there's not a whole lot of vegetation.
Right, and they have specific things they must do to survive, but they're not
part of the global problem of factory farming.
Right. First of all, they're not even eating cows and I mean, I'm sure some are, but for the most part, you see like seals,
they're
or
hunting seals and fish.
Whale. I don't know, like different wolves. I don't know.
They're not artificially creating creatures, housing them in a warehouse, and then slaughtering them by the millions.
Right. Billions.
And billions. And
over 150 billion every year, guys. Just so you know.
Yeah.
I did the research. That's more stars than are in our Milky Way galaxy.
Yes.
And that's every year. You're compounding.
Every year. More animals die than there are stars in our galaxy.
Yeah.
Every year. So, yeah. So, anyway, well, that's how we've always done it. Like, that's...
Oh, I mean, Gary Yourofsky, if you want to even argue that point further, like Gary Yourofsky has a bunch of great points. As when people say, oh, we have canines.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, really, people like, look at your cat. Look at your cat. I mean, that's not even comparing to a lion. That's not even comparing to a bear. Like,
right.
We have these little nubs for canines.
We have tiny little canines.
And we grind. Carnivores have an up and down motion.
Their jaw opens and closes. It snaps shut,
Right.
up and down.
Herbivores grind. We have these
Yes.
flat teeth, and we are capable of grinding.
We have a few pairs of molars in our teeth that are flat
Yeah.
and like rough, like sandpaper, like meant to grind up things like seeds and nuts.
We have long intestines. Carnivores have shorter intestines because they need to process meat. They need to digest meat quicker so it doesn't rot in their stomachs,
Intestinal tract, yeah.
which in their intestinal tract, which is what happens with humans, and that's why colon cancer, right?
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing, we didn't touch on this before, but Lierre Keith brings up the fact that humans can't even digest cellulose.
Oh my God.
So cellulose exists in the cell walls of plant cells. Anyone who's taken high school biology knows that plant cells have cell walls. Animal cells have cell membranes. I believe plant cells have a membrane that's behind the cell wall, but the cellular wall contains cellulose, which is a part of fiber that we cannot digest. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Do you know why fiber is good for you? Is because you can't digest it, and it helps push food through your digestive tract so that you do not have waste sitting in your digestive tract for too long. Because if you have waste material sitting in your colon for extended periods of time, that can lead to colon cancer.
And other digestive issues. Like
So-
constipation.
Yes. The fact that we can't digest cellulose, I don't know how that translates into, so let's never eat plants. I guess that's her point. Like,
Yeah, I don't
never
know.
eat plants because we can't digest
By
cellulose.
the way, she looks really healthy in that video.
Yeah.
Look at her pasty white skin and
Bags
under her.
Yeah, she also just has this underlying fear of carbs. It seems like she was
Yeah,
trying to
she-
do like a no carb.
thing. Like she
Vegan
almost
diet
seems
or
like
something.
the orthorexia. She could suffer from orthorexia. Who knows?
Yeah, like her big thing is that like, well, carbs are just sugar, and we eat too much sugar as a society, and we have type 2 diabetes.
Right, but
But you don't get type 2 diabetes from whole wheat bread.
yeah, unless you're like this, unless that's all you're eating. But you can't survive on that.
I think it has to do mostly with like soda and candy and fast
Processed
food and
sugars.
things like orange juice that doesn't expire for 4 fucking months, that's been pumped with the same amount of sugar that's in a can of Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
We've added sugar to our diet. Again, it's like, I don't know why they bring these points up if they never tie them back around to their argument.
Yeah.
And so I got one last clip here wanted to share with you guys, and it ties into the canine thing a little bit here.
But I'm an apex predator. That's the role that humans play, just like wolves, just like bears. And our job is to do that well. So
Well,
that's what
especially if you've got your conceal and carry permit, you're at the pinnacle of an apex predator.
Right. So her point is that we are in the food chain, and she has an argument that's you guys can check out the interview for yourself. It's on YouTube. That's where we're playing it from. And her argument is that animals, plants, insects, marine life, everything has a balance, and that every creature on this earth works together in a system of like predators and prey. Right? Mm-hmm. That's her point. And that we are somehow in the food chain, and we are apex predators, and it is our responsibility to like, because she says at a different point in the interview that like if there aren't enough predators around, the prey will consume all of the vegetation in a given area, and that's not good for the plant life in that area. So there's this balance of predators and prey, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, we are not predators. This is not what our system of meat eating is.
Right.
I love how we have this like romanticized version of the world in our heads where the happy cow lives on the happy farm with the happy chickens, or I guess in her version of the world, like it's like, yes, we're predators. Like she compared us to wolves and bears.
Oh my God.
And that we need to somehow keep a population of prey in check. We're artificially creating animals to meet the demand.
Right. We're impregnating cows. We're raping cows, I call it.
We're raping cows, pigs, and chickens
in order
to produce more cows, pigs, and chickens.
Because historically, there's never been as high a demand for meat as there is now. I
Right.
mean, it's been exponential. Actually, I mean, it's gone down a little bit since the veganism movement started. It's gone down.
Yeah.
I have to look up those stats. Because
And
actually
good.
that was something that actually made me really happy this week. But I forgot the numbers. I have to look them down. I have to look them up. But at the peak of meat demand, you know, we've been producing way more meat.
We consume more, and thus there's a demand for more. And so how do you get more meat? You can't grow the shit. I mean, you have to birth more animals.
Yeah.
And so we impregnate animals artificially and by force.
Without their consent.
Without their consent. If the child is male, we take it and kill it. If the child is female, we raise it for dairy. And then when that animal finally gives up on the fucking life because she's been pregnant her whole entire existence, like any adult woman, like, who's had a baby, or maybe you haven't had a baby, and you just have to sort of put yourself in the mind of someone else, right? Would you like to just be pregnant? Like, okay, you turn 18 years old, you're pregnant now, and you will now be pregnant until you fall over and die.
I know someone on this TLC program who apparently did like to be pregnant a lot. That's a whole other issue, though.
Yeah.
And
again, I'm going lion's share of human beings.
Right. The general population of human beings.
Like, would you enjoy just constantly being pregnant?
For the rest of your life.
For the rest of your life. Until your knees give out.
And having your baby
taken every single time.
Taken away every time.
Every single time.
For some reason, that's what pisses me off. And I'm really...
She's pissed now.
Sorry, and
All
it's the end of the show, so I'm going to come out and say it. Women who have given birth to a child... I haven't even given birth yet.
No.
And
You're the mother of kittens.
I'm the mother of kittens.
As they say, the mother of dragons. You are the mother of kittens.
And apparently all other animals on the planet. Because
Yes.
I feel this intense love and connection to them. Because they're helpless. They need our protection. They want to be happy. And I want to give that to them so badly. And we have all these women who don't understand. They can't put themselves in the place of their mothers, and they can't put themselves in the place of other mothers who suffer when their child is taken away from them, when their child is hurt, when their child can't nurse.
Right.
They feel pain. I mean, literally, calves are not even the placenta has just been broken, and they are dragged away and put in a wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
What? I mean, how is that?
And you wouldn't do that to a kitten or a puppy.
And you just go to the bar and order your steak and fries and cheese and cheesesteaks, and you just you don't even think about it. Like,
No.
how are you?
Because it hurts to think about it.
It hurts to think about it.
And you don't want to think that you're contributing to an industry that's so cruel.
But guess what? You are.
But you are.
And it doesn't matter whether you acknowledge it or not.
And it sucks. As I said in our first episode, it sucks.
Yeah.
I felt it too. It sucks. You don't want to feel like an evil person. And so I still have yet, I bring these points up because I still have yet to hear an argument against veganism
that is actually plausible.
that makes any sort of sense.
That morally speaking is actually plausible. Tell me how it is morally correct to do the things we are doing to animals. Morally speaking, don't give me the shit about nutrition. We've already debunked all of that.
All of that.
mean,
that's
and
the
even
thing. Lierre, Keith, and Steven Crowder can talk all they want about nutrition. The science doesn't hold up.
You can be as religious as you want to be. I mean, what is Gary Yourofsky also brings up? People's usual religious argument, do unto others, or thou shalt not kill. Those are pretty big lessons in a lot of religions. But like you said, there is no asterisk next to those statements. thou shalt not kill, do unto others except those with beaks, bills, hooves, or feathers.
Right. No, that's not written down.
Yeah. And, you know, there along with that is something kind of, it's a disjointed point, but humane slaughter.
Right.
So the epitome of an oxymoron here.
Right.
Is there such a thing as humane slaughter? As humanely killing another person, as humanely raping, as humanely as a humane Holocaust?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's, and people don't like it when you compare it to that. And that's what I did like about, you know, again, going back to that idea of people have this different idea of what farming is like in their head, because they see these videos of like pigs being electrocuted and cows being, their throats being slit while they're still alive and awake, and chickens being ground up alive. And it's like, did you think they were being nice to the animals?
Yeah.
They're killing them.
Did you think they were also, do you know how many animals are killed a day? Millions.
I mean, they got to get through them.
They got to get through them real quick. And it's really shoddy work. It's really shoddy.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting? The point you just brought up is I've actually noticed over the past couple of weeks, people I've spoken to, they've actually come to me saying things like, whoa, I didn't know this. I didn't know this at all. Like, oh my gosh. And that's the thing.
They don't want you to know.
No, yeah, they don't want, but people actually don't know that this happens. However, the people who are choosing to learn and watch the videos, it's almost like they didn't want to at first, but they did, and then they're like, "Oh my God," that's what I call opening your eyes.
Right.
And there are still those people who won't watch them because it's too sad. Oh, I'm so sorry you feel so bad. But you know what? You know what was harder? It was for that cow to die.
Right.
For that pig to be boiled alive.
Right.
For that chicken to be defeathered alive. Because, these are not isolated cases.
No, it happens all the time.
Happens all the time.
Again, like you said,
they're slammed against the cages. They're prodded. Their tails are cut.
Their beaks are cut.
They're broken.
Yeah.
The tails are broken so they can walk, the cows, you know, when they're downed cows. All these atrocities.
Like, did you think they were being
Did you think
nice?
this was...
Did you think the Nazis were being nice?
Yeah.
In the concentration camps, like the we're gonna kill them anyway. We're gonna kill them in the end. So fuck them. Like what? Like what's?
Yeah.
Why would they be nice to these animals?
Yeah.
They're literally a commodity.
Speaking of the Holocaust, there's actually a man named Isaac Bashevis Singer. Bashevis. I apologize if my pronunciation is incorrect, but he was a victim of the Holocaust, and he's been a really a big spokesperson when it comes to animal rights, because guess what? Apparently, people who have known suffering intense suffering, you know, a lot of African Americans too, when it comes to slavery, they're capable of empathizing and appreciating the suffering that animals are going through, because at one point in time they were looked down upon. They were lesser beings to their superior, their oppressors. Yeah. So Isaac says, his quote says, "What do they know? All these scholars, all these philosophers, all the leaders of the world about such as you. They have convinced themselves that man, the worst transgressor of all the species, is the crown of creation. All other creatures were created merely to provide him with food, pelts, to be tormented, exterminated. In relation to them, all people are Nazis. For the animals, it is an eternal Treblinka."
Yeah. I mean, again, you got to put yourself in someone else's eyeballs, someone else's brain, someone else's state of being. And though I have still not heard a argument against veganism that makes any sort of sense, morally, nutritionally, scientifically, globally, or otherwise, As the Bite Size Vegan said on YouTube, the only argument you cannot combat is when people say, I don't care.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You have to care. You do have to care.
Once you start
caring, we can...
someone to care, though.
Right.
And not caring can come in so many disguises, too, because people disguise not caring with misinformation, you know?
Or with indifference.
Or, yeah, with indifference. Or stating, like, you know, I've heard people say, oh, animals are not our equals. Yeah. Like, simply and coldly like that.
Yeah.
They're not our equals. And I'm like, well, who do you think you are? Like, we live on a planet with I see the trees around me as equals, the flowers around me as equals. I don't pick a flower, I don't pick leaves out of a tree. Why would I do that? It's not my leaves, it's not my flower to pick.
Right. Well, and also Steven Crowder brought this up in his thing, and I'll be quick because I know we're at the end here, but it was, he said that, like, there's a difference between humans and animals, I believe. We invented the space shuttle. We invented I've heard people make that argument. Like, we have a written language. We invented the space shuttle. We invented central air conditioning and the automobile. We're much smarter than these animals. To which I say, okay, and I agree with you. We did invent the space shuttle. We have landed on the moon. But again, why does that translate to we are now allowed to just, like, steal your baby and murder the father because we want a piece of steak? Like, it's a weird comparison to make, and one that also doesn't hold up even amongst humans. Like in that documentary Speciesism, which we can
talk about next
time, which is, there are human beings that are mentally challenged who don't possess a higher knowledge. Do they not deserve protection or rights? Or let's just take any sort of minority out of the equation and just say, okay, your average human toddler does not possess the same type of knowledge or reasoning or smartness, to put it any other way. Like, we're smarter than these animals. Okay, well, a 3-year-old human is not very smart. Mm-hmm. And is also, we say that all the time. Like, a pig has the human intelligence of a 3-year-old. All right, cool. So are 3-year-olds the same as pigs then? Can we slaughter them too? Because fuck them. They're not smart. Like, where does the line occur? Like, why does smartness translate into I shall kill you and eat your ass and wear your skin as a coat? Mm-hmm. I don't know why.
Oh, the human brain. It's a magical thing, and yet sometimes greatly disappointing.
Flawed.
Yeah. But let's end on a good note.
Kittens!
We're going to feed some kittens now.
We're going to feed some kittens. Because they're so cute.
They're so cute, but not because they're so cute too, because we see them and they're joyful. They're playful. They
experience the world.
They experience the world.
They experience emotions
in their own way, and I respect that. I mean, it pleases me. It gives me joy to watch them. And kittens are dogs, are pigs, are cows, are moose. I don't care.
Yeah.
Every animal, every living creature on this planet is deserving of love and compassion. And that is us.
And that is us.
Those annoying vegans.
We will see you guys next week.